Here at Car of the Year, we spend days going over these cars, every nut, bolt, nook, cranny. The judges are fastidious with their attention to detail. However, that gets a little bit more challenging when you're dealing with literal twins, which is exactly what we have here today. The Toyota Supra and BMW Z4. Now these two represent two of the most exciting sports cars of the year, and for good reason. It's the Toyota Supra. It is the return of the legend. This is an icon of the 90s, and if you were a kid like me, growing up watching the Fast and the Furious, you'd probably understand why I'm so excited just to be here with this car. But it wouldn't be possible without this, the BMW Z4. Now, an icon in its own right, and inextricably linked with the Supra. That's because these cars share a lot of similarities. They have the same engine, the same gearbox, the same chassis, they wear the same type of rubber, hell, they're even built on the same factory floor. There are a few key ways to tell them apart, but to do that, we'll have to jump inside to have a closer look. So we've jumped into the Supra because it's very windy today and I don't want my hair to get messed up. The easiest way to tell these two cars apart is the exterior styling. This is a coupe, that is a convertible. Now BMW and Toyota actually had completely separate design teams working on these cars, which resulted in very unique styling for the outside. The inside, however, is a little bit more same. There are some few differences that I'll point out now. The most obvious is the steering wheel. They're different for both vehicles. Now the Toyota actually has buttons from an older generation BMW, while the Z4 gets the newer version. This center console, they're similar but laid out slightly different. There's a different gear selector and some different layouts for the buttons. The screen, while they're the same size, is integrated differently in both vehicles. This GTS Supra that we're sitting in now costs roughly $95,000, and it's a nice place to be. You've got this carbon fiber, lots of leather, it's very comfortable, it'd make a great grand tourer. However, I have to say, the Z4, which costs roughly $125,000, is much more luxurious and a little bit more plush. But does more money mean more performance? Well, not quite. Now, as part of the Car of the Year process, we've actually conducted independent performance testing on both of these vehicles, and the numbers are pretty interesting. For 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, the BMW Z4 M40i will do the run in 4.6 seconds, while the cheaper Toyota Supra GTS will do the same thing in 4.4 seconds. That's just a difference of 0.2 of a second. Now, we also conduct braking tests, running the cars from 100 kilometers an hour to 0 in both wet and dry conditions. In the dry, the difference is pretty similar. There's only about 30 centimeters between the two cars. However, in the wet, that difference blows out to around 3 meters, with the Z4 taking longer to stop in both instances. Now, if you want to stay up to date with how these two cars perform at the Wheels Car of the Year 2020 testing, you'll have to stay tuned for the full results and verdict from our judges. But for everything else, stay tuned to Wheels.